Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to the Zen Mobile Yoga YouTube channel. For those of you that have never stepped on a mat before or have just recently started practicing yoga, today's class is for you, for beginners. It's important that you throw out any ideas or expectations that you have of yoga or what you think you should look like when you're practicing. Yoga is much more than just being able to touch your toes, and trust me, I've been practicing a long time and I still bend my knees in some poses. We work with the vehicles that we're given and we learn to be content with that. It's about progress and not perfection. It might be useful if you go back into my videos and check out some of the tutorials that I've done for some of the foundational poses that we will be doing quite often. Although this class, being that it's for beginners, I will go a little bit slower and I will break down some of the poses and give options for modifications. It would still be good to have some sort of idea of what the pose looks like. And lastly, you'll want to grab some props to help you out. You might use them, you might not. I use props a lot, and the ones that you'll use today or want to have nearby is a block, a yoga block. You can also substitute that with a book, a very thick book. Also a yoga strap, which can be substituted by a long belt. And then you'll want to have a rolled up blanket nearby. If you don't have anything that looks like this, which is a bolster, you'll want to roll up a blanket to look like this. And we're going to use that. So go ahead and get those things ready, wear something comfortable, take your shoes and socks off, and meet me on the mat. So we're going to begin by lying down on that rolled up blanket that you have nearby or the bolster. And what we're going to do is just lie it vertically on your mats. And we're going to put it a few inches away from the lower spine or the sacrum. And then we're going to lie down, lining up the spine with the rolled up mat or the bolster. You can straighten your legs. And if you're feeling a stretch in the hips, this is good. You want this. You can bring your arms out to the sides. And then if your hips are feeling okay with straight legs, you might want to try bringing the soles of the feet together or the bottoms of the feet together and allowing the knees to hang open. If this is too much, we definitely want to go back to straight legs. Or you can stay here for a few moments, and at some point, if it becomes too much of a stretch, you can straighten the legs at any time. So we're going to start by just taking a few breaths and working on the fundamental breath that we use in yoga. We breathe in and out through the nose, and we don't initiate the breath with our chest or in the chest area using the lungs first. We start in the diaphragm in the belly. So what I want you to do is close your eyes for a few moments and take a deep inhalation through the nose, but initiating that breath deep in the belly, so inflating the belly. And then as you exhale, let the air out. And then as you exhale, feel the belly deflate. Inhale through the belly, carry that breath to the lungs. Exhale. And we're going to lie here and do this for a few moments as we open up. For most beginners practicing asana or postures, we're doing a lot of sitting, we're doing a lot of hunching over, and it's really important to open up the front of the body. So we're counteracting being closed up all the time by opening the chest, opening the hips, and just getting in touch with our breath, taking a few moments to ourselves, quieting the mind. And let's go ahead and just take a moment here in silence as you count 5 good breaths silently in your mind. And then you can keep the eyes closed, but bring the arms up overhead, just continuing to open up the shoulders, taking a nice long stretch here. And then you want to safely bring the knees back together. So if you need to use your hands to assist the knees coming back together, go ahead and do that. And you're just going to roll over softly onto your right side. Remove the bolster. And then returning to your back. So keeping the knees bent, you can bring the knees up to the chest, kind of lift the butt a little bit because we want to get that lower spine flat on the mat in order to do a little rocking back and forth and massaging that lower spine. So just doing a little twisting here. Make sure you stay in touch with your breath. The great thing about yoga is that we're doing so many things at once. We're doing opposites, we're balancing and we're staying strong. We're doing the sweet dance of yoga and then trying to breathe at the same time, trying to remember to breathe. So I will guide you through. Slow down your rock until you come to a stop, and then bring your feet back to the mat. Now I want you to grab the strap or belt that I told you about at the beginning, and we're gonna stretch out the hamstrings because we are gonna wake up the legs a little bit today. So start by straightening the left leg and taking the strap around the ball of the right foot or the arch of the right foot. And in yoga, we like to keep our feet flexed, and this keeps our hips grounded. It also keeps the muscles engaged, and that's what we're looking for. So straighten the right leg, and then take your strap just with your right hand. You can bring your left hand out to the side and raise the right leg until your hamstrings tell you to stop. Yoga is a lot about listening to the body, and in asanas for sure tells us what our limitations are, and we can choose to be kind to our body and listen to those cues, or we can sometimes cause harm to the body by going too far. So just honor where your body is today. And if your knee starts to bend, then I want you to back it up a little bit. If your leg is all the way down here and you're feeling a stretch in the hamstring already, then that's good. So we're kicking out through the heel, taking a few breaths here, relaxing the hamstrings, lengthening the hamstrings, providing oxygen in every breath to each cell in our body. Do one more, inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to cross over the center line of the body just a little bit. So you're going to be feeling the IT band stretching here, the outside of the right leg. The left toes are still pointing directly towards the ceiling. You shouldn't have to go too far here before you feel something. And take one more breath. Inhale. And as you exhale, open up the leg. We want to have the left hip glued to the mat, and we're going to open up the right leg until the foot is on the ground. If you need to slide the foot down a little bit, that's fine. And we're just opening the hips here. You can assist the left hip, press it down with your left hand if you need to. Remember, both feet are still flexed. Pushing out through the heel. Finding your breath here, in and out through the belly. Take one more inhalation. And as you exhale, bend the right leg, releasing the strap, and bringing the leg back to center. And we're going to do the other side. So right leg straight this time. And I want you to pay attention as we do this to the differences in each side of your body. You might have one side of the body that is more tight than the other side, and you'll feel it. It's having that awareness of the body. That's important. So remember, both feet are flexed. We're taking a few breaths here. Only raising the leg as far as the hamstrings will let us. Nice deep breath in. as you exhale, cross over that center line. The right leg doesn't move. Staying nice and strong here. Toes are flexed towards the shin. Find your breath. Take one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, go ahead and open it up. Right hip stays glued to the mat. Open up that left leg, stretching the inside of the leg and opening up the hips. Both feet are still flexed. Take 3 really good breaths here. And anywhere you're feeling that tension and tightness, send your breath to those areas and feel them relax. One more. And as you exhale, release the strap, bend the knee, and bring everything back to center. And you can put the strap off to the side for now. We're gonna do a twist, so bend both knees. What I want you to do is have the feet flat on the mat, lift the pelvis, shift it to the left as far as you can, and then drop it back on the mat. And then we're going to drop the knees off to the right. And you should feel a twist happening in the midsection here. Bring the arms out to the sides, kind of like the letter T. And then we're going to look over the left fingertips. And we're just doing a full spinal twist here to warm up the spine, to massage the organs. Take a few breaths. Doing twists is very important for the digestive system, and it also helps the muscles in the lower back, as well as keeping the spine supple. You might even feel a stretch in your left hip. One more deep breath in. And as you exhale, bring those knees back to center. Bring the pelvis back to neutral, and we will just do it on the other side. Lift the pelvis, shift it to the right as far as you can, drop it down, and drop those knees off to the left. Looking over the right fingertips. If you're having a hard time with your knees stacking and the hips stacking, you can take your left hand and just press down on the leg if that helps. Try to keep that right shoulder heavy to the mat. And only turn your neck if it's comfortable. If it's more comfortable to keep your neck neutral, you can do that in any pose. Keep the belly soft. Feel the twist happening. Take another breath here. Nice deep breath in. And then as you exhale, bring it back to center. Bring the pelvis back to neutral. And we're going to roll on to our right side and come up to hands and knees. So coming up to hands and knees, we're going to start with our Betalasana, or our cat pose, which we do all the time in yoga class, at least in my yoga class. And what that looks like is knees hip width apart. We want the fingers spread. We don't want to be over the wrists, so please make sure that your hands are forward a little bit or shoulders directly over the wrists. They can even be open just a little bit, but just make sure they're not over the joints, over the wrist joints. Big part of yoga is protecting your joints, so I will cue that a lot and help you with that. So what we're going to do is take a deep breath in, and as we do that, we're raising the tailbone or the sitting bones, dropping the belly, lengthening the neck, lifting the chin. And then as we exhale, we begin with the tailbone, tucking it under, rolling the spine, separating the shoulder blades, dropping the head, looking in between the thighs, pressing the palms onto the mat. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, round the spine. We're going to do this a few times. You go ahead and go with the pace of your own breath. Do what feels good here. If it feels good to go a little faster, you can go faster. You might feel some cracking and crunching, and that's good. That's just keeping the spine mobile. You can move the hips around a little bit. You can move the shoulders around a little bit. This is your pose, so do a little bit of movement here. Allow the neck to release, dropping the head. Go ahead and do this one more time. Exhale, press the hands on the top of the feet. And then bring yourself back to a neutral spine or flat back, or also referred to as tabletop. Now it's very important to recheck where your hands are if your shoulders are over the wrists. We're going to do a balancing pose, which may look simple, but it's very important. So if you do start to wobble and waver at first, that's okay. Remember, we're not judging. And if you fall, that's okay too, because we fall a lot in life. We just get back up. All right, so pressing the right hand into the mat, we're gonna lift the right leg behind us, okay? We don't wanna have the pelvis dropping. We don't wanna have the leg up like this. We wanna try to keep the pelvis as parallel to the ground as possible. And again, flexing the foot. So kicking out through the heel, making that leg nice and long. And then we're gonna bring our left arm out along the side of the ear, bicep to the ear. Looking down at a focus point on the mat is going to help you with this. And remember to breathe. Reaching out through the fingertips, kicking out through the heel. That right shoulder is really strong right now. Take one more breath, you can do it. Exhale, bring the hand and the knee back down. Good. You can shake that right hand out a little bit and even bring the top of the hand onto the mat, stretching the wrist a little bit. After you do more arm balances, you will get stronger, but it still feels good to stretch the wrist out a little bit. Okay, we're gonna do the other side. So left leg behind you, right arm out in front of you, right bicep to the ear. Make that arm as long as you can, reaching through the fingertips. Make that left leg as long as you can. Check your left hand. Make sure the shoulder is not over the wrist. Take another breath. If it is over the wrist, you can come out of this pose. Next exhalation, go ahead and bring it down to the mat. Good. We're going to come into child's pose. Widen the knees. Sit on the heels. Walk the hands forward and bring the forehead down to the mat. If this doesn't work for you, I do have a tutorial on this to show you all the different options. But very quickly, if your butt does not go down to the heels, that's okay. You can shift your weight forward on the forearms. You can also have a block to rest your head on, or that book that you have. Okay, there's lots of different things that we can do. And this is the resting pose that you can come back to at any time. If we're in down dog, and your arms are starting to give out on you, and they're like, oh, no, you can come out. You can come out of it, come into child's pose. So as we sit here for a moment and find our breath again, I want you to pay attention to the breath. Feel it traveling up and down the spine. And notice the symmetry of the breath in the back of the body, on either side of the spine, as you breathe in and as you exhale. Let's take one more breath here. Taking a moment to let go of the ego and let go of anything that may have happened before you started this video. Letting go of anything that you're thinking about for after you're done with this practice today, and just being in the moment and following that breath in the back of the body. And on your next exhalation, I want you to press the palms into the mat. Lift yourself back to hands and knees. Get any props out of the way. And we are going to go into a downward facing dog, the quintessential pose to yoga, or one of them at least. They're all very important. And it's very important that, again, any idea that you have of this, take it out of your head. So we modify where it's necessary. We want to make sure that the spine is nice and long. And a lot of the times we do that by bending the knees. And you'll just have to see what works for you. So pressing the palms into the mat, the fingers are spread evenly. We're pressing into the ball mound of the first fingers, and that's to protect the joints. Very important that we protect the joints. You'll be doing downward facing dog a lot. And then also look at your wrist creases and make sure that they're parallel and they line up with the front of the mat, that they're not curved in, they're not curved out, so that everything is in alignment. Hands are going to be about shoulder width apart. Curl the toes under, and then begin to lift the hip sockets up to the ceiling. As you allow the ears to line up with the inner arms, and then you can move the legs back a little bit if you need to. Press the hands evenly into the mat, and you'll notice that my knees are bent a little bit. If I bring my heels down to the mat, you'll notice a rounding of my spine. And this isn't a hamstring stretch, this is a spine lengthener. So I need to bend my knees in order to bring the hips higher and make my spine nice and long. That's what we're looking for. So take a few breaths here, just get a feel for it. You can even pedal the feet a little bit, bringing the heels down to the mat. You're looking in between the knees, keeping the ears lined up. Don't be looking up. We don't want to crease the back of the neck, but those are common things that people like to do in down dog, is look up, because it's scary to be upside down. This is an actual inversion, what you're doing. All right, so go ahead and begin to walk the feet toward the front of the mat. Good. So what we're going to do is make sure the feet are separated a little bit. Again, bend the knees as generously as you need to, and we're going to come into a forward fold here. So I just want you to bend forward, hinging forward at the hips. Grab the elbows, opposite elbows, and just let the head hang. You might be up here, and that's completely fine. Try to get your belly as close to the thighs as possible. Not rounding the back, but actually hanging or hinging forward. And again, bend your knees as much as you need in order to make that happen. And just sway a little bit back and forth. Imagine there's 4 corners on both of your feet, each of your feet, and plant those corners into the mat, making them nice and strong, allowing you to hang forward. Just calming the nervous system here a little bit, obviously stretching the legs. I'm sure you can feel that. And again, release those muscles in the back of the neck that we like to hold on to, where we hold a lot of tension. Give yourself a break. Take another breath. Good. And as you exhale, bring those hands down to the mat. We're going to inhale and bring the hands halfway up. And as we do this, we're using our legs for support, taking the shoulders away from the ears, and reaching out through the crown of the head, so making that spine nice and long, or as long as we can for now. Good. On your next exhalation, fold back forward. Press the feet into the mat nice and strong, and as we inhale, we're going to bring the arms up over the head, palms together. Exhale, bring the hands right in front of the heart. Good. And just take a moment here. Notice how your body is reacting to your practice so far. Maybe find your breath again, feel the heart beating. Stand nice and tall. And if your eyes are closed, you can slowly open the eyes. Inhale as you reach the arms up, grabbing the left wrist with your right hand. And as you exhale, I want you to lean to the right. Keep the feet exactly where they are. Keep the weight even. Make sure that you're still pressing on that left foot, not allowing it to lift. Make sure you're not collapsing the chest, but in fact keeping everything open. On your next inhalation, come back to center. Grab the right wrist. As you exhale, lean to the left. Lengthening that right side of the body and our lateral stretch here. Inhale, come back to center. Palms together, hands in front of the heart. Good. Now for the next thing we're going to do, if you have a chair nearby, that would be helpful. You might need to have that type of height by you. Otherwise, at least have a block. If anything, we can go to the couch or whatever you're nearby. But take a wide stance. Turn sideways on your mat. Widening as far as you can, about to where the wrists are going to be over the ankles. Okay? If this doesn't work for you, you can always adjust it. Make sure your toes are pointed in, directly forward. I shouldn't say pointed in, pointed directly forward. Whatever it is that you're going to need for height, make sure that you're standing right in front of it. So if you need to come off of your mat for this, just do that now. And then we're going to come into a wide leg forward bend, what this is called. Keep the legs nice and strong. Activate those thighs. You don't want the knees to bend. If the knees start to bend, we're gonna back it up a little bit. Inhale and lengthen through the crown of your head. So lengthen the inner body with your breath. And as you exhale, hinge forward, right from the hip creases. Your butt's gonna stick out, and you're gonna hinge the upper torso forward. Only go as far as your hamstrings will let you. Press the feet into the mat. If your knees start to bend, back it up. And then you're gonna bring your hands out to wherever it is, whatever it is that you have out in front of you. I'm gonna use the block today. And then we're going to take a couple of breaths here. Some of you might be flexible enough already to where you can make it to the ground, and that's great. Let the head hang, but make sure your knees are not bent. And then just give your thighs a feel. If they're soft, wake them up. Wake up the legs. So activate those legs. Shoulders are away from the ears. Take a few breaths here. One more. Good. And now I want you to pivot your heels in. Okay, we're coming into horse legs here. So the heels are going to be in, the toes are going to be pointed out. Press all four corners of your feet into the mat. Inhale, bring the arms up, keeping the knees bent, palms together, exhale in front of the heart, hands in front of the heart. So if your legs were not awake before, they might be screaming at you right now. Take one breath here, in and out through the belly. On your next exhalation, press the feet and lift yourself up. Good. Very good. We're going to come into warrior one. So this foot, we're going to pivot on the heel and bring the toes in at a 45-degree angle. Right toes are going to be pointed forward. Hips are going to shift towards the front of the mat. Bend the front knee, not over the ankle. This is very important. It should be just behind the ankle or directly over the ankle. Inhale, raise the arms up. Press the outer edge of that back foot into the mat. You'll feel your glutes activate. Good. Draw the shoulders together, shoulder blades together and down towards the tailbone. And take one more breath here. As you exhale, straighten the leg, right leg. Come back to center, palms together, hands in front of the heart. You just did your first warrior one. I would love to see your faces doing your yoga poses for the first time, your down dogs, your warriors. Send me some pictures. I get so excited. All right, so left toes are gonna come out onto a 90-degree angle. And we're gonna drop this back heel so that that back foot is at a 45-degree angle. Shift those hips towards the front of the mat. Now bend the front knee. If your knee is going over your ankle, just scoot the toes forward. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, relax the shoulders away from the ears. No bent arms, just get those arms as straight as you can, grounding the shoulders. The outer edge of the right foot, press it into the mat. Relax the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Take one more breath here. Remember, you can come out of it at any time. Just take one more breath if you can. And as you exhale, straighten that leg, bring the feet back forward, hands together, bring them down in front of the hearts. Good, dance the feet back together. Nice job. Shake the legs out just a little bit. You're doing an amazing job. We're gonna come back to the front of the mat. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, hinge forward. Bring the hands down to the mat, bending the knees. Bring the legs back. We're gonna come back into down dog one more time. Pedal the feet out. You did a lot of work with the legs today. We did warm them up in the beginning, but just give them a little extra love here. And then we are gonna come down onto our knees. And we're going to thread the needle. So stretching the arms out, because you did use those arms in downward facing dog, as I said, until the muscles build up. That's a lot of work. It does happen fast though. After a couple weeks, you'll be very surprised at what happens to your arms. So right hand, bring it to the center of the mat. Left arm lifts up. And as you exhale, swoop the left arm through or under the right. If your head doesn't get down to the mat, look at that. Block. So we're coming into another twist here. And then we're also stretching the arm. See if you can feel that stretch from the left shoulder socket. Reach the left fingertips as far as you can. And then find your breath. One more. On the next exhalation, we're going to slide out of this. So go ahead and exhale, come back up to hands and knees. We'll do the other side. Left hand to the center of the mat. We're just trying to get a good counter twist here. So right arm comes up. Exhale, slide it through. The left hand can move. And then press it into the ground, press it into the mat in order to bring you into a twist. So your spine has moved laterally forward, so flexion, extension, doing our stretching. We go into a slight back bend when we're bringing our arms up and reaching back. And twist. Next exhalation, come back to hands and knees. Good. We're just gonna come sit down on our bums here. And before we go into Shavasana, which is the favorite part of yoga, actually it is one of the most important things. Don't ever skip it at the end of your practice, and I'll talk about it more in just a moment. But we're gonna lie back down. We're gonna bring the knees up to the chest one more time. A little bit of rocking left to right. And go nice and slow here. And then when you're ready, we're going to drop the feet down to the mat. Straighten the legs. Bring the arms up over our head. And take the longest stretch of our life. You can circle the wrists, circle the ankles, and just take a nice long stretch. And then when you're done with your stretching, bring your arms down to the sides of the body for our relaxation or Shavasana. And we're just going to spend a few moments here. The shoulder blades should be flat on the mat. The palms are going to be facing the ceiling with the arms a few inches away from the body so nothing is touching. And then separate the ankles and allow the feet to hang out. If there's any props in the way, kick them out of the way. We don't want to have any sensation here. We're going to take a few moments after every practice to observe the body, to observe the breath, to see what feels different, to see what feels the same. And we're just going to look at that without judgment. So take a deep breath in with the eyes closed. And then open the mouth and exhale. Again, breathe in. One more time. Breathe in. Gather up any extra stress or tension you have floating around in the body. And as you exhale, let it leave the body. And begin to relax all the muscles in the face. Feel the bones sinking to the back of the body, causing the arms and the legs to feel heavy. And then bringing your focus to the rise and fall of the belly. As you breathe in, the belly rises. As you exhale, the belly falls. And noticing that your inhalations are getting deeper. And that your exhalations are getting longer. And now give yourself permission for the next few moments to just sit quietly, to lie here quietly, and breathe, and just be. And then feel your inhalations allow your inhalations to begin to deepen even more. Wiggle the fingers and the toes gently. And after another breath or two, slowly bend the knees, bringing the feet flat onto the floor. And then roll onto your right side, staying here for just a moment or two. And then use the strength of your arms to push you up into a seated position, allowing the head to be the last thing that comes up. Bringing your hands in front of your heart center. Thank you for allowing me to guide you today. The teacher in me honors and appreciates the teacher in you. Namaste.